Hi chemistry students. Here we're going to talk about limiting reactants.
Hey! All the neighbor kids are coming and they want lots of s'mores.
Alright, well I need to figure out how many s'mores I can make.
Alright, so what I'm trying to find out is how many s'mores I can make. And what I know from the ingredients that I have here, I have 40 graham crackers, 36 marshmallows, and 36 pieces of chocolate. The question is, how many s'mores can I actually make? So, being a chemistry teacher, naturally, I have to come up with a reaction for the way that this is going to look. So I have graham crackers. I kind of abbreviated that with a GC. We've got marshmallows, which I abbreviated with an M. And then we have chocolate pieces. I abbreviated that with a C. Typically, when I put together some more, I have a graham cracker on the bottom and on the top. So that makes for 2 graham crackers. So that's why I have my coefficient 2 in there. I only need 1 marshmallow that I use, and then I have 2 chocolate pieces because the chocolate pieces are kind of broken up and a little bit smaller. So I have this thing that's left over at the end here. We're going to call this a s'more. So that's 1 s'more. Okay, so really the reality of that we have to find out here is I have enough graham crackers to make a lot of s'mores. Do I have enough of everything else too? So if I think about just the graham crackers themselves, I have 40 graham crackers. And if I want to think about how many s'mores I can make with 40 graham crackers, well, if I need 2 graham crackers for every 1 s'more that I make, then I end up making 20 s'mores. Well, that's not necessarily my answer. Maybe I can make more than 20 s'mores or less than 20 s'mores with one of my other ingredients. So let's look at my other ingredients and find out how many of each of those I have. So if I have 36 marshmallows, I only need 1 marshmallow for every 1 s'more that I make. So that's equal to 36 s'mores. If we look at our chocolate pieces, I have 36 pieces of chocolate. Every 2 pieces of chocolate are going to give me 1 s'more. So that gives me 18 s'mores. So, turns out that I can't actually make the 20 s'mores that I have graham crackers for because I actually run out of chocolate after 18 of them. So I can only make a total of 18 s'mores with the chocolate that I have. So that kind of answers my question, how many s'mores can I make from the reaction? So my strategy for doing that is I basically did 3 stoichiometry problems, 1 from each of my reactants, to find out how much of my product I could produce. Whichever one produces the less, we give that a label of your limiting reagent, which in our case happened to be chocolate. And then our other 2 reactants, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, we call that your excess. So that's the one that I have extra of. So in this case, I'm going to have 4 extra pieces of graham cracker that I don't end up using, but I can't make extra s'mores with them because I don't have enough chocolate. I don't have any more chocolate pieces to use. I'm going to have a whole bunch. I'm going to have 18 extra marshmallows left over at the end. So let's take this idea of a limiting reagent and an excess reagent and put that together into a chemistry type problem. If I was actually making water, so say that I wanted to produce water, then I have hydrogen and I have oxygen, and my reaction for that is 2 hydrogen plus oxygen forms H2O. So if I have 10 grams of hydrogen and I have 10 grams of oxygen, the question is, how much water can be produced? So this is a limiting reactants problem. When I give you a starting value for both of your reactants, you're going to need to find out which one produces less of your product. So to do this here, we're going to start off, let's do 2 stoichiometry problems, 1 for hydrogen, 1 for helium, or 1 for hydrogen, 1 for oxygen rather. So we have 10 grams of hydrogen, and we're going to do a stoichiometry problem. And in that stoichiometry problem, we're going to try and find out how much water can be produced. And so from hydrogen, we have enough to produce a 9.21 grams of water. Now we're going to have to do another problem for oxygen. We start with 10 grams again. And so we're going to find out which one is going to be our limiting reactant. So what we find out from our reaction here, our limiting reactant is clearly going to be our oxygen. So oxygen is our limiting reactant. We're going to have a lot of hydrogen left over, so that makes it our excess reactant. But so if you want to find out how much of your product you can actually produce, very, very rarely do you actually have the correct amount of hydrogen and oxygen such that they run out at the same exact time. Typically, you're going to have one of them as a limiting reactant. In this case, it happened to be oxygen, but you're going to need to check each time. The way that you check is you start with the given that you're given in the problem and solve for how much of your product can be produced. Whichever one produces less, that's going to be your limiting reactant. That's going to drive how much of your product you can actually produce. Just like with our s'mores, I can't make more of my product than the reactants I have.